see this. Yeah, hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can.
Sorry for the technical
Yes.
glitch. Welcome to the, you can put the focus on me, Arvind. Hello. Welcome to the seventh series of this OVBI education series. Today we'll be talking about U-Turn India. We are from the Volunteers for the Better India. We have a lot of projects that we do in India for the upliftment of the country, and many NRIs around the world are engaged in this. So this is our website, and this is the link to our Hangout today. So right now, a bunch of NRIs are going to India to help out with the voter registration and all the efforts. So you are encouraged to go. When you go on the website on the events, you can click on this link, and we'll tie you up with a volunteer in India to help out with all the surveys and the voter turnout efforts that we're doing. So right now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Hari and Dr. Hema Hari. They they have done a lot of research about India, and they've been involved in the management of a lot of hospitals, and they've traveled to a lot of countries and museums. All this exposure has motivated them to initiate Bharat Gyan, a project to collect information on the knowledge of India through the ages. They prepared a lot of multimedia capsules about the knowledge of India and authored 10 books. And in this particular talk, he'll be talking a little bit about his book, U-Turn India. So given that we have elections coming, this is a very opportune time to listen to Dr. Hari and Dr. Hema Hari. Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, namaste.
Hello to all.
Hello,
Can you
Hari.
hear us?
Go ahead and share
Hello,
your screen.
Yes,
Okay.
we are hearing you. Go ahead, please.
Thanks, Vatsala. What we have been doing here is we have our research institution. It is called Bharat Gyan, in which we are trying to understand this knowledge of this land and try to experience this knowledge. That's what we have been doing. It's been a journey of ours for well over 15 years now, in which we have been able to research and come up with a lot of information about this land. You could visit our website www.bharatgyan.com, where you can see all that. But as for the topic of the day that we are planning to do, it's called U-Turn India, where we're going to speak about the prosperity of this land. And when we talk about this land, we say that we often hear nowadays that India has been prosperous. If it has been prosperous, where does this prosperity for this land come from? And from when on is a question that we need to look at. And is this talk of prosperity of this land a myth or a reality? Is it just a figment of imagination, or could it really have been there? The other key aspect is, why talk about the prosperity now? Because India has been independent for over 65 years, and suddenly we talk about prosperity of this land. Why? If you look back and see, this land, particularly this land of India, that's Bharat, has been prosperous, not from colonial exploitation, the way Europe was able to jumpstart its prosperity in the 60s. It did not come from colonial exploitation. And which means what? The prosperity of this land was from internal resource mobilization. And
Dr. Hari, just 1 second. Are you sharing your slides?
That's what we are. I thought we are sharing our slides now.
I think it went off. You can just try again. So whatever you see on your computer is the same thing we are seeing.
Are you seeing our slide now?
Yes, yes. You can go back a bit if you like.
Sure, we'll certainly do that.
This light is off. Light.
Yeah. Here we'll be talking about Indian prosperity. Can you hear us and can you see the slide?
Yes, Hariji, we are able to see the slides. Thank you.
Thank you. And when we speak of Indian prosperity, where did this come from? And from when have we had this prosperity in this land? And of late, for the last decade or so, people have been speaking about the prosperity of this land a lot more than earlier. So, is it a reality or is it a myth of just a few people speaking? That's what we need to understand. And more importantly, why are we talking about this prosperity now? After almost 65 years of independence, what is the need to speak about this prosperity suddenly now? It's not only us, quite a few people are speaking about it now. If you look at this, the wealth of this land, that is Bharat, what we call as India, it did not gain its wealth from any colonial exploitation, much like the way Europe could jumpstart its economy in the 60s from colonizing other parts of the world. Which means what? The resources, the wealth, the prosperity of this land has been generated internally and is not an external influx into this land. If you look into it in further detail, we get to see one thing very clearly. That is, in today's economic model, it is the cities which are prosperous, and they support the villages. Whereas in those days, when this land was innately prosperous, it was the villages which were generating the surplus and sharing it with the cities. So the model was the other way around. It was the villages that were prosperous because they were the centers they were basically the production centers, not just of agriculture, but for a whole host of other things. Also for small industries. So it was the villages that supported the towns. That is the key differential that we need to understand. When you say U-turn India, this is a differential we need to understand. It's not just stopping some plunder or outflow of monies. It is a system of resource generation that is very important that we should understand. It is the production centers, the wealth generation centers are the hinterland, are the villages, is the rural India, which makes the bulk of the land. And it's the towns, the Nagara, are the trading centers at best. That's the differential. That is something we need to understand. And in this, if you look at it, one thing is clear is that the four things, namely land, water, vegetation, mines. These were the four main resources. And what they did in practice was they had a very intelligent, sustainable manner of using these four. Today, we use these as buzzwords, intelligent and sustainable manner. But what they did was, they didn't use these buzzwords, but they practiced it. In their practices, in their daily practices of the land, the way the economy, the system was formed, naturally formed, these were practiced. That's the key difference. And it was sort of a sustainable way of using land, water, vegetation, and mines. And it is not the way of exploitation of these four, as unfortunately what we have been doing in the last few decades and more. That's the difference for sustainability. If you look at the world share of trade of India, in the 1750s it was 25%. Now it's dropped to single digit. It sort of progressively dropped due to the colonial laws. Many people have spoken about it. There's one Paul Kennedy, Byron is there, and then Professor Madison. Each one have spoken about it. I'm sure all of you are aware of. I'll just take these two examples for easy understanding. Here he says in his book, The Rise and Fall of the Great Powers. He speaks about how India's share just about 260 years back was nearly 25% of the world trade. And the other person who speaks about it is Professor Madison.
the story. Why he did it.
Okay, I'll just tell you a story as to why I'm taking this particular person, Madison, Angus Madison. He's a famous economic historian who's written a book on the world economy, a millennial perspective. See, when the economic historians prior to Angus Madison had come up with a viewpoint that in Americas that are the centers of prosperity of world trade, like what we have now in the last 4 or 5 decades or the last 8 9 decades. But it was actually Asia for a much longer period, which was the center of the economic prosperity of the world. Many economic historians refuse to believe it, say about a decade or two back. So here they requested Professor Angus Madison to do a survey to find out what the truth is. And he did a very detailed survey for not just for 100, 200 years, but for a period going back to 2000 years. And what he found out was very interesting. He found out that in the year 1 of the Common Era, India contributed to 33% of the world's GDP, and China was 26%. Middle East, Western included the UK and all that, was only 10%. And North America and Australia put together was just 0.5%. You can see that there. I hope you can see me moving my cursor.
Yes, Hariji, we can.
Okay, fine, thank you. So, and if you go down 1000 years to the year 1000 CE, again, if you look at it, the share of India's contribution to the world GDP was 29%, and China's had risen to about 23%. Similarly, other parts of the world. So these two were the primary economic powerhouses of the world for 1000 years, from the year number 1 CE to 1000 CE. And you can see the other parts also. And if you go down to 1500, at the year 1500, China slightly overtakes India, and India is at 24.5%. They are sort of neck and neck. And it is the Middle East, which is again the next big player at almost 13%. And all other countries are far below. And if you see this, UK is just entering the arena at 1.1%. And US is far below that, United States at 0.3% of the world GDP. If you go to 100 years down the line to 1600 CE, China has overtaken India substantially, and it's now come to 29%, and India has slightly fallen back to about 22.6%. UK is here at 1.8%. You can see that. So it's clearly still India and China. And if you go to say 1700, it's again India neck and neck. Again, India slightly ahead of China at 24.4%, and China at 22%, and UK at 2.9%, and America's at 1.1%. 1820, 120 years down the line, it's again China. See here, India is almost half of China now, and UK has risen up to 5.2%. By now, by 1820, UK has almost total control over India, and it is called now British India. And they come to 5.1%. And US is about, that is United States is about 1.8%. In 70, it is China number 1, India number 2, UK number 3, and US number 4 at 8.9%. So this is where the scenario starts changing. In 1913, it's US number 1 at 19.1%, United Kingdom at 8.3%, and British India at 7.6%, while China is still number 2. In 1950, it's US at 27%, the state that China and India were for about 1,800 years, and UK is at 6.5%, fifth, and India has dropped to 4.2%. And going down, so you can see from the scenario how the whole scene has changed. After India became independent, the GDP of England has started dropping back and going up again, the share of GDP, because US is number one, offering 1/5 of the world's GDP. So this is how the scenarios have changed over the years. This is very interesting because with a very Eurocentric mindset, we think that the world is being controlled by Europe and America. Yes, in the last 150 years, yes. But before that, it was China and India. And when you see that, again, China and India are slowly of course, China is just marching ahead. India is just inching ahead. You look at that, so it comes as no surprise. It's been historically so, and not just for 100, 200 years, but for 1,800 years, it's been historically so. And it is just coming back. Just have a look at the summary for an easy understanding as to how it is over the years, from the year 1 to the year 1998, as to what the position of India was. First, second, first, second, to 1870 world GDP, and dropping down and slowly climbing back down. In comparison, UK was nowhere, and when it took control, as it took control of India, it started growing in prominence, and after it lost control of India, it started dropping again. So the strength of the colonial power was because they had India, which was the economic, powerhouse. So that was the reason. We just did a simple animation. Understand this. Look at this animation. This is comparison between India and Britain, vis-a-vis India and Britain. From the year 1 to the year 1998, when this book was published, when this research was published. So this shows us to the position that India, the position of preeminence that India has been, and how it has changed over the years because of colonial subjugation.
So Hariji, is this the reason why India became poor? In the slide that you just showed us, a couple of years where there is a huge dip in India, and then
That's right.
there is interestingly, there is also a corresponding dip with Britain. I'm not really sure why that is.
You'll see the slide again to answer your question. See, Britain graph started rising from 1500 onwards, and by 1600 upward trend. From when it landed in India, started the East India Company in 1600. It just shot over the next 200 years.
The period of the world wars.
And if you look at this, from 1913 to 1950, it is the period of the two world wars: First World War, Second World War. Obviously, the economies took a huge hit. It's not only English economy, the whole European economy. Two world wars.
Okay, and so correspondingly, India also dips down. Can you explain the dip down of India with respect to Britain at this particular point?
No. India's dip down started. If you look at it from 1700 onwards, 1800 onwards, it's been from 1800 drop, not just a dip, but a huge drop. Fundamentally because the systematic plunder of India by the British.
Okay.
Without doubt. And the best person to explain the systematic plunder of India was whom we call as the grand old man of India, Dadabhai Nauroji.
He was the mentor. Radhabai Naroji was a mentor for Gandhiji and lot of other
He's
leaders. Lokmanya
called
Tilak.
the Grand Old Man of India. He's called the Grand Old Man of India. Can you see
Hariji,
this slide?
we're not.
Wait.
Yeah.
Hariji,
No,
could
we
you
haven't
share them again?
We have something called how the British plundered this land, literally squeezed us to tears,
Please download.
squeezed blood out of us. Can you see the slides now?
Yes, we can see
Can you
the
see the
slide.
slide
Yes.
of plunder of India? Okay, fine. In this, this is a very telling statement by Dadabhai Nauroji, whom we call the Grand Old Man of India. For 50 years, he was a member of the House of Commons in London. And he wrote a book. Actually, his book is called Poverty and Un-British Rule of India. It's a collection of his speeches, his essay is what this book is about. Speeches that he gave over a period of 50 years, between 1867 and 1917. And he calls his book, what does the word mean? Un-British. Because it is a British rule of India. Why did he use that word? Because then, 100 years back, the word British meant being prim, proper, correct, reasonable, honest, being fair. These are the terms that the word British itself meant. But their rule was anything but British. The rule of British in India was anything but British. That's what he emphasizes. He said it's not fair, it's improper, and he explains all that. And he makes 4 fundamental points in all his speeches, which I've just summarized for our easy understanding. He calls first, the British rule was the greatest curse with which India has been afflicted. Mind you, he calls it the greatest curse India has been afflicted. Can you see this slide?
Yes, yes, Hariji, continue.
Thank you. From the richest country in the world to the poorest country in the civilized world. Impoverishment, exhaustion of the country. The 4th point is, this drain of wealth from India was the principal and basic cause of the poverty of the people. I think these are 4 very powerful and telling statements of Dadabhai Nauroji. He calls it, 1, the greatest curse that India has been afflicted. And he says, yes, this land is the richest. Obviously, we've seen the statistics of Professor Angus Madison as to how this land was the richest in the world. And how, within a short span of 300 years, the British, through their administrative systems, brought it to become the poorest country in the world. I mean, that's quite an effort to make the richest country the poorest country, all within a short span of 300 years. With all their administrative skills. The third thing is, it is this continuous impoverishment and the exhaustion of the wealth of the land. And it is a principal and basic cause for which this land, its people have become poor. The land is not poor, the people have become poor. That was the big cause of this impoverishment, or suddenly over a period of 250 to 300 years. Now we have seen this, understood this. I'd like to go back and I'd call this as a wave of plunder.
Call it 3 points.
No. Let's go back. I'd like to call it, actually, I'm going to call it waves of plunder. So let's see the different waves of plunder now.
Dr. Hari, your slides again we have to share.
Can you see your slides now?
Yeah, and also the voice is not very clear.
Okay, I'll see what can be done. Can you just check what can be done?
Yeah, you can take a minute. It's okay.
Okay, now I'm going to call it, for easy understanding for all of us, we're going to call it three waves of plunder. The first wave of plunder is what we had from the near west. This started with started from the year 1000 CE with the first Muhammad. He attacked India 17 times or so, from Sindh to Saurashtra, Gujarat to Mathura, and this whole part of northwest of India, north and northwest of India. And he just took back a small booty of about 6.5 tons of gold during this plunders of this land, and a lot of prisoners of war. And we are not saying this ourselves, it's all been recorded by his chronicler, Al-Baruni, in the book called Kitabul Hind, where it's called Kitabul Hind, where he speaks about how they plundered this land. And different right from Somnath temple and the city. All this is given in our YouTube area. You could see it there about how many dinars, how many statues of gold, silver, ruby, sapphire, gold weighing. So the city of alone had to undergo 20 days of pillage to take back the booty that they wanted. So every place was giving that. So starting from then, all the way up to 1739, when Nadir Shah of Persia came to Delhi, attack here, and he did a 57-day general massacre of Delhi. And what he looted was, in that day's value of 1739, the loot was up to 70 crore rupees. It's not today's value of 70 crores, which is nothing. It is 1739's value of 70 crore. And for small keeps, he also took something called Kohinoor diamond and the peacock, and all that were all small keeps in this massive plunder. So this is what happened. So it was almost 700 years of different people coming in and plundering this land. When I say this, we should keep one thing very clearly in mind. At the same time, there are different rulers from the near west. The Sher Shah Suri, the Mughals, some of the sultans of the south India, especially the Deccan. They did not plunder the land in the same way. You should not categorize them as plunderers the same way we categorize, say, Muhammad of Ghazni or a Nadir Shah or a Muhammad of Ghori, because a Muhammad of Ghazni, a Nadir Shah or a Muhammad of Ghori, they came, plundered this land for 20 days, 30 days, 50 days, 57 days, took the wealth and then went back. So they just came here, ravaged the land and then went back. Whereas these people who came from the near west, they came here, lived this land for centuries, gave birth to their progeny in this land, ruled this land, they lived here, ruled here, taxed here, and spent the money here. They were born here. So we should differentiate between the two very clearly. That's very important. And see, when these rulers were quite despotic, here's a French historian who's talking about, he calls this despotism itself as an enlightened despotism, because they knew that this land was a golden goose that lay the golden egg. So they took care not to kill the goose, but ensure that they got the golden egg every day. That is the difference. Whereas the British, contrary to this, the British, when they came here, they killed the golden goose itself because of their avarice. That's the difference. So when you look at the second way of plunder to classify, it comes with Vasco da Gama coming to India in 1498. This is a different story. I'm going to talk about the stories some other time. I'm going to share the story with you some other time as to how he came to India, why he came to India, and how he was guided to India by the Indian ships. That's a totally different story. We'll deal with that separately. 100 years later, East India, the British came here and they set up this East India Company. And from then, from 1600 to 1950, for a period of 350 years, it was a continuous looting of this land. From a prosperous India to a dry England, it became a prosperous England and a very dry India. 350 years. That is what happened to this land. And when we talk about England and Europe went through industrial revolution between 17 and 1800s. We need to pause and think, what is it that we need for an industrial revolution? What is it we really need? Yes, we need innovations, technology. But apart from that, what do you need? You need continuous inflow of money to finance these innovations. And where did it come from? How was the jump start in the 1700s, 1800s? Because there was continuous money flow from India to finance these innovations that was happening in England and other parts of Western Europe. So it was industrial revolution in England and Europe, and it was industrial devolution in India at the same time. That's precisely what happened. So that is what the squeeze is all about.
To encourage their industries,
It is
squashed.
so to encourage their industries, they plundered this land of India because they need to finance that
Squashed Indian
and
industry.
squash Indian industries because Indian industries were a lot more efficient there. They're producing a lot more. So you need to squash it. So they squashed it by law in India because they could frame the laws of India to encourage that. And at the same time, apart from finance, what did you need? What do you need apart from finance? If you pause to think for a moment, what we really need is a lot of food supplies, wheat, bread, for the workforce, to feed the workforce. Otherwise, you have a healthy workforce working in the industrial revolution. So what do? They exported enormous quantities of food grains from India. What did that do? It created untold famines in India. So you had 100 years of famine, continuous famines in India. Why did you have famines? You had famine after famine, Bengal famine, Bihar famine, Deccan famine, this famine, that famine, one famine after another. Why did you have these famines? Because they needed to, not only they need the money, they need the food also to feed the people. That was the key factor. So now we understand when Dadabhai Nauroji says that it was an un-British rule of India, and when he made the reason why he made this point, it was sort of a live report of him saying how this plunder happened. Now, having seen these factors, here is a very telling statement by Will Durant, a leading American thinker, who wrote a book called The Story of Civilization. In this book, in the series of books, particularly on the one on the Oriental heritage, he writes something very touching. It's not a side statement, but it's a specific statement mentioned as highlighted to us as a note to the reader. What does he say in it? I'll just read it out. I saw such things in India as made me feel that study and writing were frivolous things in the presence of a people, 1/5 the human race, suffering poverty and oppression, bitterer than any to be found elsewhere. I was horrid. I had not thought it possible that any government could allow its subjects to sink to such misery. I was filled with astonishment and indignation at the apparently conscious and deliberate bleeding of India by England. Throughout 150 years, I began to feel that I had come upon the greatest crime in all history. So that was the extent of the plunder that this land went through. The real extent of the plunder that this land went through. Now, the key point is, yes, with 1947 independence that India got, has this plunder stopped? Is the key question that we need to ask. Has this really stopped, this plunder? Because in India, we have a third way of plunder. Scams and scams galore. Endless scams going on. Different bank accounts, different forms. And look at the guesstimate. Isn't it amazing? This is a guesstimate that we did in 2009, and you can imagine what it would be in 2013-14. all the other countries put together doesn't just match up to the amount of money taken out illegally from India and stashed in the tax havens. So if you have an Olympic gold medal, I think India wins hands down. There's no doubt about it. So this is what we classify as the third way of plunder that this land has gone through. And I've gone to just one place, Switzerland? No. There are actually 77 different tax havens all over the world. We listed some of them here. And these monies are kept there, moved around by people who are very intelligent, very capable, and they have employed very capable people to move it around. So they are convoluting the very process of convolution. So that's how this happened. So this is it's a very and so if you look back, so we can now see three waves of plunder that we have had, and it's happened over a period of 1,000 years. This land of India, Bharat, has had the misfortune of undergoing wave after wave of plunder. The first wave of plunder from near west, the second wave of plunder from far west, coming over the oceans, and unfortunately, even after throwing away the colonial yoke and the foreign powers, we have now developed a homegrown, a self-made third way of plunder. We have now developed a homegrown third way of plunder, where it's we ourselves are plundering ourselves. What can be a more sad state, a sorry state to be in? Now, can we take some questions? I think we've spoken for about half an hour now.
Yes, we can ask questions. Dineshji, you have some question? Go ahead. Just 1 second. Before that, we'll speak a little bit about OVBI. Okay, then we'll take some questions. Hold on.
Sure.
Yeah, can you see my slides?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, so as Dr. Hari has said, that there was a lot of good things going on about India, and the Volunteers for Better India is a movement to bring NRIs together, and so that we can help with the improvement of the country. So, as Dr. Hari has said, you know, we had a lot of the GDP earlier, and now the dollar has also gone down to 65 rupees. And these are some quotes that you can watch later. Both Mark Twain has said some very good things about India, and after independence, there's this one party that has been ruling, and we still see a lot of poverty out there. So this is a time for a change. And one thing to note is that the age of India is 27 years average, and so there are a lot of new people entering the workforce. So if the labor regulations can be relaxed, and the businesses can not be very restricted, it will really help the incoming labor force. So the time is very critical now to make a change in the infrastructure and the policies and how businesses work and everything in India. It's very important right now, so that we don't lose all these young people that are coming. The scams, if you total, they're more than the GDP of the country. We have these genetic modified seeds which are trying to enter. We have problems at the border. There are a lot of women's issues. So this is the time right now to get up. And in ancient India, we had a lot of good habits and holistic education. And now a lot of media is putting things on us. You know, our celebrations also not so much with the extended family. We're not using that much genetic food. The social habits are very different right now. So we have to learn from the past. Sri Ravi Shankar, last year, he started this Volunteers for Better India. He said that give 1 hour to the nation, and we have to don't care about the country. So around 1 million people in Ramlila Maidan attended this very historic event, and the Volunteers for Better India has now gone to 400,000 volunteers, and they've done 1,000 projects that we'll talk about it now. This is the video. It's around 20 minutes. We highly recommend that you watch this video on tinyurl.com/VBI launch. It explains a lot. It's very inspiring. It's very motivating. So why do we need to volunteer right now? The poor are getting poorer, the rich are getting rich, the society is going down. So we have a vision, which is want India to be socially vibrant, economically advanced, culturally rooted, and politically aware. So we want to bring national issues to the forefront. There's a lot of ideology differences, sometimes a lot of religions, languages, and all that. But when the problems are so big, the snake is so big, we really need to focus on the national issues also. We want citizens to take ownership of the country. So our goal is to reach out to as many people in the world right now. So the VBI that was started in India, they've done a lot of good work in women's safety, farmer rural development, creating community leaders, and very important, having the youth participate in the nation building efforts. It's really amazing what they've done. So one story, for example, we have this a project in Maharashtra. This was called the Jal Jagruti Abhiyan, where in 1/4 of the cost of the government, we actually fixed the dry river. So the river was dry. With rainwater harvesting and working with a lot of people, we are able to fix this. And then another 3 rivers have been fixed in Karnataka. Like here, you actually see, just citizens being involved and trying to store water and make sure that it helps the farmers and everybody else. So in different parts of the country, there are different problems. In some places, we have this women's empowerment where they teach them martial arts, right? And then down you see like a youth leader talking with a bunch of people in the villages. So these youth leaders, they work with 5 villages in a year. So there are some costs for that, and there's a maintenance, but they actually go and they help with the alcohol de-addiction. Around 40% of money sometimes is spent on alcohol. So these people go and try to educate them and empower the villages, because the strength of India is in the villages. It's not only in the metro areas. So this is also, we have to look out for them. And then in some other places in Mumbai, we had this cleaning of the railway stations, having no plastic bags. So you actually see that the people around the India are mobilized now. India is changing. We'll be seeing a new India very soon. In Uttarakhand, even the army has applauded the efforts of the VBI volunteers. They work very tirelessly. They're giving their, the enthusiasm, the love, and the service to people around in the country. So some of the other projects are like we registered a lot of voters. We'll come to that, and we go to 40,000 plus villages and lakhs of people. So this is a very big organization, and then we invite everybody in India who's watching to be part of this. And so, however, the darkness has been last 200, 300 years, Dr. Hari was saying, it takes, a few people to light the candle, and one lit candle can light the other lit candle. So this is the time to light the candle. And, we can learn from the past, but we don't have to be burdened with it. We have to look at the future with freshness and enthusiasm. This Sri Ravi Shankar says something very nice, which is very hopeful. So we wanted to just share this here. India is home to 7 great unparalleled traditions: the spirituality of India, Ayurveda, Indian music, Indian food, Indian fabric and attire, information technology, and tourism. These 7 aspects are truly those which India can be proud about. We must honor and develop these 7 aspects. India's economy will then start growing once again. So if you go on some of his websites, you can actually see that how much he gets into all this stuff. So election has a lot of challenges, and a lot of bogus voters, and we have worked with the Election Commission of India to increase the number of voter participation, which we'll show you right now. We have a lot of volunteers and a lot of press scenes that we work with. So these are some of the products that we work with. So this is a mobile app which we made where people can just, it'll automatically fill in a bunch of fields. So you start in just a few minutes, you can fill your voter registration form. And for those who want it on the personal computer, we have this. We worked with a bunch of partners like Election Commission of India, NASCOM. Thousands of companies have used these products, and we have increased the voting percentage because of some of these things. Right now, we are focusing on voter awareness and voter turnout. So we do these happiness surveys around the country, one-on-one. So the volunteers are going and asking, what do people think about the country? What do they think about the future? Do they want to volunteer their time? To change from apathy to caringness, you have to volunteer time, talent, money. And so they're requesting people to give 1 hour to the nation, a few hours a week. And then are they registered to vote? Are they going to vote? So these people who get these surveys, they really feel good that someone is going to them door to door, and someone is really caring about them. So then they feel more enthusiastic to get engaged with the country. And education is one of the most important things. So we've had a very nice education series with Parag Tope and Dinesh, and to explain about what was the real things in the background of the history of India, and and how to better understand current affairs. So today's talk is a continuation of that. So these are some of the links. It is on our website, on our Facebook. You can click on the recorded videos. It's very, very informative. For example, how India got independence. Please go and watch and see how the whole thing happened. So we also had hangouts with Rajiv Malhotra, Kiran Bedi, and many other dignitaries. We had better ideas for a better India event in DC, and that was very nice. What can NRIs do? We want NRIs to enroll on our website and call their friends and family in India to do voter registration. You can also just go on maybe justdial.com, and there are a lot of businesses you can call and make sure they're going to vote. People like to get a call from overseas, and then create your contact with corporations and universities and start forming your chapters. So we request you to be part of the change. This is our website. There's some inspiring videos. If you want to see what the volunteers are really doing, you can go on this tiny.cc VBI Vote 1, VBI Vote 2, and see how the volunteers have transformed themselves, how this organization is helping them with not just an outside change, but an inner change also. And for many things, we do require like donations. They'll be well used. So just $1,000 will reach 30,000 voters for the door-to-door campaign and making sure that they vote. So just one person in the world can make a difference to 30,000 people. These people will start volunteering for the country. How much difference it makes to them and their families, right? So your $100 will reach 3,000 voters. Or you can sponsor a youth leader to improve 5 villages. So what are some of the facts here? The UPA came to power with only very few percentage of voters who voted for them. So when many people don't vote, they don't care for the country. And the person who comes to power, he's not elected from a big majority of people, so they also don't seem to care. Both sides don't care, and so this is where things are at. Many countries, Poland and Japan, have transformed themselves after World War II. So when people get together, you see the result. When you resign and complain and keep worrying and regretting about the past, then you see the result. Last 60 years of India is the result of that. So if you want to change the future, this is the time to come out and be in action. So for India, this is I Vote for a Better India. All the information is here. If you have any questions about voting, you call this number 88-888-8888, and the volunteer will help you. Also, if you want to volunteer, this is the same number. For NRIs, become a member, contribute your time, talent, and money. And let's be the change we want to see in the world. So with this, and if you want to fly to India, we'll set you up with a VBI volunteer, so you can on ground make a presence. So this is a historic opportunity. These elections will be a turning point in the history of India, and you can look back on your life and say, I was part of it. I participated in the building of India. So if you can go to India, we encourage you. So please consider. So with that, I want to turn it back to any question and answers that we have. Vachala, Dinesh, Arvind, go ahead with any questions.
Sure. I have a quick point that I would like to share. In fact, a question maybe. I was actually going through some of the historical aspects with regards to the famines in India, and I was because one common aspect is that when we hear the word famine, we usually think that most probably it is something that is nature made. Like you don't have rains, and then that's what causes famines. But to actually realize that it was a man-made famine was something very new to me. So can you really very quickly talk about it and the extent of people who were impacted by this?
Vachal, actually, before doing this research, we also had the same opinion that famines are phenomena of nature. But as we were doing this research, one thing came out to us very clear was that a very unfortunate detail for that fact is that famines of the last 250 years in India are not natural phenomena but man-made by British policy. Actually, there's a book written by I think Davis. He writes, he calls it late Victorian Holocaust. He calls millions and millions of Indians were killed by British state policy. As I said in my presentation about 10 minutes back, for industrial revolution, what did you need? You need a lot of food grains. You need bread, wheat. Where did they get this suddenly, within a period of every decade after year, where did they get this bread from, this wheat from? From India. Shiploads from India was taken to UK and other parts of the world. So, when you take away so much food grains from a particular land, what will happen to the locals? It's but natural there'll be shortage of food grains, which is leading to famines. Because you had monsoons year on year. See, the two things you should understand in famines. Yes, you have something called a 7-year cycle, 12-year cycle, 13-year cycle, 30-year cycle. These are minor cycles of famine. It's all marginal. But to have famine year on year, different parts of India, continuously you have famine BR, 7 years continuously in Bengal, another 5 years in Deccan, all parallel or one after another, means what? It's continuous taking away of the food grains from the land. That is what created this famine.
There are records, British records.
And we have British records. The next time when we do the Google Hangout, probably we can only focus only on the famines. How the famines were created by state policy. Probably we can talk about this for about 20-25 minutes. We can do one of the future Google Hangouts we can do on that. Certainly.
And one of the questions on about why even after decolonization, US and
could you be louder? We couldn't hear you.
Yeah. See, one of the things, after we look at Angus Madison's graph on the economic status of the various countries in the world, one question that would come to the mind is how come even after we got our freedom, independence, US to dominate the world economy? And what we learned from this is that and it has been continuing even till now, till recent, let's say last one decade, it has been the controller of the economics in the world. The reason is UK and US, they started once the industrial revolution started, they became production centric. So they became producers of the world and they started controlling world trade. And in order to encourage their industries, they had by then squashed all the industries in their colonies. So Indian textile industry, Indian metallurgy industry, iron and steel, and Indian navigation, which was much more powerful than that of Europe, all of them had been very systematically squashed. India and other colonies could not raise their head immediately, even though they had got their independence. And by then, US and Europe had staked their claim as manufacturers for the world. It is in recent times that we find China is coming back into the race with their production. So fundamentally what we have to learn, and which was what India was doing when India had that large GDP, it was, and the trade, it was actually producing, it was one of the largest producers. We will see later, in one of our future sessions, what were the items, that bulk items that India was, big 5 items that India was producing and trading. So spices is actually one of the last in priority, smallest of them. So it is very important that we produce a lot and trade in and started doing that, and so it has started coming back, and which is why US and UK ruled the rules for the last 50 years, even though we had gained our independence. And that should be one of our thrust areas if we want to come back and, into the world.
What is the future in 2020, 2030? Where is the GDP trend going on right now, and what is the future in the modernized world with the global manufacturing trade, with the manufacturing trading component of the commodities is less and manufactured goods is more? Where is India going forward with the India's industrialization and the manufactured goods is still a small part?
No, it is sort of it is if we have good governance in India, it's bound to go up substantially. Let's not be dependent only on this sector. It's a key sector, but it is not going to be the vehicle of growth. Production, right from agriculture to textiles to the whole host of things, that's going to be the real driver of the economy. Because if you look at China, it was the production of the driver of the economy. The factors like services, tourism, all are good sectors which you need. But the key sector to say you're a world leader is to be a production hub. It's obvious. And there's one other question that we see here that was asked by some person. Do planners in China know about the economic facts of the past century? Yes, obviously they are aware of it. For example, the report of Angus Madison is not just been read by the Europeans or by the Indians. Obviously, it's been read by the Chinese also. Incidentally, Angus Madison was his writings, his reports. If you see, he seems to have been more of a friend of China than of India, and his writings are all more focused towards China. And China has done it. Let's give them the credit. They have done economically. They've done very well in the last 2-3 decades. Probably it's also because they sort of gave up socialism in a way, under a different garb. They've adopted capitalism, but still they call themselves a communist social country. But they gave it up in a different garb, and they took on capitalism from a different perspective. That's a fact. Yes, China is aware of these facts, very well aware of these facts, because Angus Madison has written a lot about China. Any other questions?
And talking about capitalism and socialism, actually there is a very interesting point that I thought maybe we should share. Normally, we say that the 4 principles are dharma, artha, kama, moksha. India, it was not bad to generate wealth. I mean, India encouraged generation of wealth. It was not that you should give up everything and wealth is bad. We did encourage wealth. The word for it, artha, is a very beautiful word, because artha means it has a meaning. So it is a purpose, a wealth which has to be put to a meaningful purpose. It is not just idle wealth, hoarded wealth, or wealth which is to be used for any wrong means, but wealth which is to be put to good use. And that's how they've given the word artha for it. So that's a beautiful perspective that it
Dharmic wealth creation and for dharmic purpose.
Yes.
That was the main
Absolutely.
purpose.
Absolutely.
So that is a very good points you have brought in. So some of the things what China is like, we should not be focused on China. We need to look at the advantage of what India has, and what India has now and what India can contribute to the in the next three decades. That means 30 years. One other thing is intellectual knowledge, because of the bright talent. So it can be used in the hardware engineering, high technology where margins are high. We can become the global producers of industrial technology, avionics, military technology. The current topic is they are using military modernization to spawn off industrial innovation and bring in new industry inside India. So these are all India auto component industry. India can be a world leader. So a lot of new opportunities are there, but the policies are not there. Socialism is not a policy. It's a retrograde. India never had socialism. India is not suitable for. We always had artha, which is basically we have to produce goods in a very equitable manner. That was always, we have been for centuries, we have been doing that. That is the same thing,
I
we
think
need to get it back.
I think we have a very different policy. It's not called socialism or capitalism. It's more called humanism, which is what we've been following.
Yeah,
And
individual
that is
humanism was by Deenadayal Upadhyaya. He had proponented it 50 years ago.
no, the term probably, but the ethos, the practice has been part of the land, because it again comes from your dharma, artha, kama, moksha concept basically. Actually, incidentally, if you go to our blog, we've written a full article on this. There's a separate article on how famines are man-made in India. There's a separate article in our blog. There's also an article on communism and how socialism is not suited for India. So there are 3 different articles in our blog. So those who have the time can visit it.
I have another
It's
question for you, Dr. Hari and Hema. I wanted to find out, India had such amazing values, during ancient times. When we were little, we would read all these amazing Panchatantra stories, Mahabharata, all these things, right? Just so much valor and wonderful qualities of human nature. I'm trying to figure out what really happened for the current Indian situation, the mindset that has changed so much, has caused corruption, things like that. What really went wrong? How did the Indian mindset get to be what it is right now? Can you speak about that, please?
Actually, I think you asked the question,
Very good question. Very good question.
I think recognize that this land,
We can hear you. Go ahead.
yeah, this land has had about 1,000 years of continuous battering of battering, and sometimes the battering has had its effect. Let's be aware of it. Let's be realistic to it. It's been battered and battered and battered repeatedly. So values haven't changed, morals haven't changed, but the way people have looked at things have changed. In 1947 to 1960, if you look at it, we have been a very honest land, very honest land. And what is the logo? Satyameva Jayate. In our book, YouTube India, somewhere almost to the last chapter or the last but one chapter, we speak about it. It is under the same logo of Satyameva Jayate. It is a way which is Jayate on it. All our briberies, scams, and scandals taking place. It is sad. Almost every third Indian is today corrupt. That's what the present statistics shows. It is sad, but it's all happened, unfortunately, in the last 3 decades.
I would like to add a couple of points here. See, there are 2 aspects to this. One is to do with the style of education, and the other is to do with the prevailing condition. So, with the advent of the British and the change in the style of education, a lot of moral education and soft skill education, which was given higher priority in the Indian traditional way of education, came down. So morals in that sense have taken a back seat. And the second thing, and so both together colluded to create this environment. And it is time
we couldn't hear your second point. Could you repeat your second point?
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is, one side, your education from the moral perspective has dwindled. You are more subject oriented and hard skill oriented today. And on the other side, you have a prevailing condition, which is not very inspiring, and it is very tough kind of a situation. So it encourages people to deviate. And so both put together colluded to create the environment that we are in today. And this is what we'll have to attack. One is to improve the situation, at the same time see how we can bring back our traditional value systems in the education process.
So can mainstream organizations and mainstream media, things like that, can they give a hand towards this?
They should. They obviously should, but unfortunately they are not. That is the effort of VBI and OVBI to sort of make these people see reason and bring about a sense of awareness. Certainly, all such institutions, all such noble efforts, group efforts of individuals, this should be our focus area. Immediately after elections, we should look at what next.
Yeah,
So all
education,
this
I
effort,
think, yeah, education is a very critical thing. Sorry to interrupt. Vasala, your good question. Education, so change in the education to go back to proper education, and media, change in the media discussion. What we discussed today now, this should be discussed in the mainstream news media, in a panel discussion, in mainstream video, in the mainstream TV. Can it be done? Yes, it can be done. What we discussed, the topic today, we should all be in a TV panel. Okay, so that millions of viewers can view this. Is it possible? Yes, but this discussion has to be done.
certainly.
Okay, are there any more questions? Dr. Hari and Dr. Hemari, any final concluding remarks? You want to summarize anything or show any other slides?
Yeah, see, we have now spoken about in this session, we have spoken 3 ways of plunder. And the key point is we should, it's no use just crying over spilt milk. It's all happened. Now we need to look forward as to, okay, if this land can repeatedly keep on generating wealth for 3 ways of plunder to occur, that means it's got an innate capacity to generate wealth. How is that capacity? If we understand that, can we use it again to make this land prosperous once again? That is what we need to look forward to. 2. The first wave of plunder, which was done from the near west, and the second wave of plunder, which was done from the far west, both are all mixed in the economy. So no use, we cannot bring it back. No use in quantifying. Yes, we can quantify it now, so many tons of gold, so much, all that, but you cannot bring it back. Whereas the third wave of plunder, which happened in the last 40, 50 years, is all stashed away in different bank accounts all over the world. It's possible to track them and bring them back to jumpstart the economy. It is possible. So that is what we need to focus on. What is possible, not cry over spilt milk. And also that's one approach is right, is what we can bring back legally through legal methods. Second is, if we know what is the way to make this land prosperous once again in a sustainable way, use that. Can take up in one of our future sessions.
I have another question. It just sort of arose in my head. Could you tell us why it is important to have good governance? Is it why there is a difference between having good governance versus just being good people on the bottom up? Why is it important to have something set right on the top?
See, the governance model itself is a big issue. I'm sure you'd have seen our book, U-Turn India. We deal about that quite extensively. Probably we can have a session exclusively on governance as to, when you say sustainability just doesn't come by itself, or productivity doesn't come by itself. It comes as an effort of good governance. What is good governance? Is it just good people being at the helm, or is there someone governance? Okay, England was successful, but was it because of good governance? England can have a particular model of governance. The US can have a different model of governance. Each area has an ethos. Each land, its size, its way of management has got a certain ethos. Similarly, India has certain ethos as to how it can be governed, how it has been governed. That is what is important. For example, the method of governance of UK is centralized, whereas the method of governance in India has always been decentralized. Unfortunately, now we are using a centralized method of governance in India. What we need is a decentralized method. Probably this has to be explained as to what it is, what is centralized, what is decentralized, and how. That is good governance. Good people, good governance in the right method that is suitable to the land, its people, and its productivity. That is what is actually good governance. Recently, we written an article on this in our blog, and we can deal with this in one of our future sessions. It will take about
Hariji, could you talk about your organization and the work that you have been doing, so people can go to your website and really get more information, and also be able to hear your talks on YouTube. Could you talk about your organization? On Bharat Gyan?
Yes, we are doing that now. Can you see your slides now?
You'll need to screen share, Hariji. We don't see it.
Yeah. 1 minute.
Just wait. Yeah. In this effort of ours, as Bharat Gyan, we have been doing research and bringing out this knowledge for the last 15 years now. We have a website, it's called bharatgyan.com. You can visit the website where you get a lot of information on the works we've done. We have written about 12 books till date, made about 5 documentary films, apart from a host of short films made. There's also a site called Historical Rama. And this is our email ID. We'll be happy to answer. And yes, we are quite active on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, blog. All these things we are quite active in.
And fundamentally, our objective is to look at the knowledge of India, its ethos, and the global ties through the ages from an interdisciplinary and integrated manner. Not just take up any one aspect, but look at it from the various different perspectives, and look at it from the ethos of the land. And that's what we try to do. And fundamentally, it is to kind of experience this knowledge of India, and we try to bring out small films, and we write books on this subject that we have done. And these are the sites where all these books and short films are available.
Incidentally, we have written 3 Rama and Lanka and Ayodhya War and Peace. And day after tomorrow is Sri Ram Navami, the birthday of Rama that we're going to celebrate. And through our research, you can see in our YouTube films, all that, we have been able to prove the historicity of Rama and date Rama to have been born in the year 5114 BCE, which means day after the birthday of Rama that we celebrate is the 7,128th birthday of Rama.
Wow.
We're saying that Rama was 1,000 years old, 8,000 years old. We're being more precise to say that this is the 7,128th birthday of Rama. So it is that precision we've been able to come to through our research. There's also a film on the subject, Historical Rama.
Can you send us
available on YouTube? You can see.
Yeah, can you send us the link to that URL blog on the Ramayana? Very important. I will spread it on the day of the Ramayana, but of Rama.
Yeah, just website.
Email it to them separately.
Yeah, we can email.
We'll email those YouTube links.
Also, Dr. Hari, if you want to have a few slides about this historicity of Rama, you can do it now.
Yeah, if you have them, please do share them now for us.
We can just take the chronological last.
Yeah, see, before there's also this book that you can see.
Yes, this is a very nice book. Yeah.
Are these available on Amazon?
Yes, it is available both Amazon and Kindle.
Okay. So one question that I have so you have also looked into our kings, our Rama, and all these great personalities, and what unfortunately has now been told or misinterpreted as a mythology or a myth, as in it's a story, it really didn't happen, somebody just wrote a story from thin air. But instead, you are bringing back the reality as to these are not stories. These are incidents that really happened in India. So it really makes a huge difference to know that the difference that lies in between. So we are very grateful that you are doing this work, and we really appreciate all the hard work that's gone into your research.
Yeah, one more thing I wanted to just talk about is this historicity of Ramayana. So the people who question it, first thing you need to talk about is Sanskrit, our antiquity of Sanskrit. That has been proved. There is nothing before Sanskrit. Okay, and Sanskrit and the language of Sanskrit in the Ramayana itself, the whole of Ramayana series, history of Ramayana, okay, and Bharatavarsha, it is all there. It is all, the whole thing is coming from the ancient times, several thousand years, as Dr. Hari talked about. So this can be connected to the, one is the archaeological sites of Ramayana, Ayodhya, Sri Lanka, and the Setwa and everything. Second is antiquity of Ramayana with the Sanskrit language and our ancient Puranas. Okay, and Ramayana, continuity of Ramayana for several thousand years should be good enough to tell that this is a historical fact. So this linking has to be done in a correct way. The Marxist communist language of distorting our history and discarding Puranas has to be completely removed out of our textbook. This is a key thing. As part of our textbook, we should do this.
So Hariji, if you have some slides or any information, even if you don't have the slides, you could talk about it. We would appreciate it if you.
Yeah, we have one film. It's called Historical Rama. You can watch the film. It's there on. I mean, portions of the film is there on YouTube. If you type Bharatan Historical Rama, you'll get this. It's not a problem. Easily you'll get this. We just do, of course, we have just one thing. Is Rama did he exist? Is he historical? For which Hema has quite a very nice phrase. Divinity is a matter of faith. Historicity is a matter of existence. Because if Rama really did exist, then he is historical. For that, what do you need? Precise date. Yes, we have to do. And we have to come up with the precise dates of the of Rama. The day he was born was 10th January 5114 BCE. The day Bharata was born was 11th January, and Lakshmana was born on 12th January. And the coronation eve when they were sent on exile Vanavasa was 4th January 589 BCE. Then after Lakshmana cut off the nose of Surpanaka, the fight that Kar and Dushan, the brothers of stepbrothers of Surpanaka, had with Rama Lakshmana was on 7th October. Then Vali Sugriva fight where Vali was killed was 3rd April 5076 BCE. All these very precise dates were coming down to. The date that Hanuman went to meet Sita in Lanka. It's all there. It's there in a book. It's called Historical Rama. It's like this. We've been come up very precise. It's through an effort called archaeoastronomy that we have been able to come up with all these things. It's there in a book. It's there in a blog. And it's also there in a website and in the film that we show. There's a short film we show for about 7 minutes or the details of all these dates. How we come up with these dates is there. So you can please visit the YouTube film.
See, fundamentally, looking at the historicity of Rama from 4 perspectives. What do literary texts talk about and what kind of proofs do they give? Geographically, what kind of imprints do we have for evidences of Rama? Archaeoastronomy. So in the Ramayana, what do they talk about in terms of astronomical positions of objects in the sky when during the times of Ramayana? And from that, can we go back and find out when those events would have occurred? And also archaeologically, what kind of evidence from all these different fields, and from all of that, we find that they all converge. While archaeoastronomy, of course, gives definite dates, the rest converge to the same period of about 7,100 years. So with some fair amount of conviction, we can now conclude that Rama did live around that period and he is historical. And historicity does not preclude divinity. So just because somebody is historical doesn't mean that person is not divine. We are all divine in our own ways, and there are some who are more divine than the other. And Rama indeed was a divine avatar, and so that in that sense we have been very fortunate that we have had a chance to experience both divinity and historicity of Rama.
So do we have? Do you have any other points that you would like to make with regards to this? About have you also done any other historical?
No, we'll like to say happy 7,128th Sri Ram Navami to all.
Wonderful.
Same to you, Dr. Hari. Everybody, same to everybody.
From this year onwards, let Ramarajya flow again in this land.
Rebirth of Bharata Desha. Rebirth of Bharata Desha.
Incidentally, we have done, if you go to our Google Hangout, we did a Google Hangout on the concept of Ramarajya, good administration, a few months back. It's there in our website. If you can go to our past Hangouts, it's already there. What is Ramarajya? The components of Ramarajya, good administration, we have done a Hangout about 4 or 5 months back.
Okay, so one point I would like to make here that this is about governance. This is about being able to manage a group of people and to provide good knowledge and to provide a good vision. It is much beyond mythology or legend. We do not want to deal with those things. We are looking at reality, and we are looking at all those things that we can learn, things that have been utilized and implemented in our land over ancient times for several years, and things that have made our land very prosperous and very sustainable for centuries over centuries. And learning from those aspects of governance that have given those results before and implementing those results now would be very wise to do. Thank you so much. We would definitely encourage all the viewers to go and look at bharatgyan.com, see what the information they've already collected, look at the YouTube videos, and connect with them at any time, because all their work is for us to learn and to share with everybody. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Vachala. So I just wanted to say a few things. One of the things we have learned in the series is this historicity of Rama is another reason why that Aryan invasion theory was incorrect, I feel. Because Aryan invasion theory dates back 2,500 years BC, and this thing is much before that. So as and when we learn more things, we can tie the whole picture together. So I just wanted to quickly mention about their website here. So this is the Bharat Gyan website. Can you guys see that?
Yes, we can.
Okay. And so these are all the research that they've done, the books and DVDs. So here is the products of all the books, the short films, publications. So we invite you to go and explore this website. So right now we will end again with a little information about OVBI. So this is the continuation of this series about the history of India, and we invite you to go on a website and learn about all these various topics if you have missed them. So and they are very educational, and a lot of these eminent speakers have given us a lot of valuable time, so that we Indians around the world get educated. So we should take advantage of that. So what can NRIs do in the city? Please join our website, become a member. It is free. Call your friends and family in India to vote. And can you mute your things, the rest of you? Yeah. And call your friends and family in India to vote, and then and make contact with the corporations, universities, and organizations to start this overseas chapter in your country and city. So again, the rupee is plunging. We have a lot of problems. We need to stop the leakage of the wealth so India can rise again. And the way you can be part of the change is sign up on a website, share these videos with you and your friends. You can have get-togethers in your house. You can show some of these videos, and please contribute, because our expense management is very good, and your $1,000 will reach 30,000 voters for the door-to-door campaign we talked about, the happiness survey, or also help one youth leader work with 5 villages in a year. So it's the cost of the motorcycle, and the maintenance cost of the youth in a year. So please, your dollars will go a very far way. One person can make such an impact, or $50 can go to reach 1,500 voters. So these are our websites and the phone number. I vote for a betterindia.in. Also, you can email overseasvba@gmail.com. So a lot of people have done great things in the past, right? So we have to learn from themselves and see what we can do. Here, this is the campaign right now. This is a very historical moment where some of us are flying to India, going to vote, and also helping with the door-to-door campaign. So please, on our website, you can go and register and vote. It's very easy. Just go to overseasvba.org under events, and you can vote here. So again, I'll just quickly show you the website. So this is our website, and under events, you can donate here, and then this is the
We
flight to
cannot
India.
see your slides, Mehul.
Okay, can you see this now?
Yes, we can see them. Thanks.
Okay, and so this is the OVBI website. You can go under events, and then you can register yourself. Also, you can donate out here on the website. So right now from Right now, from all of us at overseasvba.org, we wanted to thank you for watching. Please promote this with your friends and family around the world. This is a free education series. The more we educated, the easier we can appreciate the past, learn from it, and help in the nation building for India. So, namaste, and thank you very much from everyone here at Overseas Volunteers for a Better India and also Volunteers for Better India.
Thank you.